Have you ever noticed how some people react in an exaggeratedly negative way when they find out that someone is a Pisces? It's curious, isn't it? After all, Pisceans are often described as beings of great compassion and sensitivity. Imagine the story of Anna, a young Pisces woman who, while sharing her sign in a chance encounter, heard an eye roll and a "Ah, Pisces, always so dramatic." This reaction, though isolated, echoes a broader feeling that hangs over this sign, a strange aversion, a subtle prejudice. How can a sign associated with empathy generate such repulsion? There is a glaring contradiction here, an astrological conundrum that deserves our attention. Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, carries within itself the complexity of all previous experiences, an ocean of feelings and impressions. In this video, we will not look for culprits or victims, but rather understand the origins of this misunderstanding. We want to shed light on the nuances of Pisces, unraveling the layers that separate the common perception from the intrinsic reality of this very peculiar sign. And to start this exploration with an open mind and heart, I invite you to internalize this mantra. I allow myself to feel, without getting lost in my feelings. I honor my sensitivity as a strength, not as a weakness. Let it resonate with you, and if you feel comfortable, share in the comments how this phrase touches you. Together, we will try to understand the fascinating Piscean paradox. Pisces live in a world intensely colored by emotions. Imagine a current, constant and deep, which crosses them at all times. This sentimental vivacity is the essence of Pisces. For them, the human experience is felt in vibrant tones, where joy is radiant and sadness is excruciating. This ability to feel so expansively is undoubtedly a gift, the source of his remarkable empathy. However, this same intensity can be misinterpreted. For those less attuned to this emotional frequency, the Piscean torrent can seem excessive, even disturbing. Think of the influence of Neptune, the ruling planet of Pisces, a star that dilutes boundaries and intensifies the connection with the collective unconscious. Neptune enhances Piscean emotions, making them true psychic sponges, absorbing the energies around them. A Pisces can be deeply moved by a movie, feel a friend's anguish as if it were their own, or be shaken by sad news in the newspaper. This sensitivity to the surface of the skin, although admirable, can be seen as drama by those who do not understand its origin. It is crucial to distinguish. Feeling intensely is not synonymous with dramatic or uncontrolled behavior. Many Pisces, despite the vast emotional range inside, seek balance and discretion. Understanding this nuance is the first step to appreciating Piscean emotional complexity. Faced with a world that sometimes proves to be arduous and painful, Pisceans can seek refuge in escapes from reality. This inclination to evade emerges as a natural defense mechanism, a way to soften the impact of sensations and situations that are difficult to bear. Imagine a beacon in the fog, flickering in the darkness. For the overwhelmed Pisces, the evasion can be that beacon, a dim light in the midst of the emotional fog. The forms of Piscean evasion are diverse. They can manifest themselves in constant daydreaming, in the creation of imaginary worlds, rich in details, or in the search for activities that anesthetize pain, such as excessive substance use or compulsive behaviors. This escape, understandable as a self-protection strategy, has negative consequences in the long run. The constant escape prevents coping and problem-solving, perpetuating cycles of suffering. For relationships, avoidance can translate into a lack of responsibility and difficulty in dealing with practical life issues. It is essential to recognize that, although exacerbated sensitivity justifies the search for relief, there are healthier paths. Alternatives such as mindfulness meditation, artistic expression as a form of therapy, or psychological counseling offer tools to deal with stress and pain in a constructive way. without resorting to escape as a permanent solution. Learning to ride the waves of life rather than fleeing from them is an essential challenge for Piscean well-being. The Piscean sensibility manifests itself most clearly in your immense ability to feel what the other feels. It is as if they had psychic antennae, capturing the pains and joys of others with impressive clarity. This empathy, this deep compassion, is one of the most admirable qualities of Pisces. However, this same virtue can become a heavy burden. Imagine a sponge incessantly absorbing water. There comes a time when it becomes saturated, unable to hold any more. This is what happens with the Piscean who, immersed in the pain of the world, can feel completely exhausted. The line between healthy compassion and harmful absorption is a thin one for Pisces. Often, in their genuine desire to help and alleviate the suffering of others, Pisces forgets about themselves. This self-neglect can manifest itself in many ways, from ignoring one's own physical and emotional needs to engaging in symbiotic relationships where individual boundaries dissolve. It is essential for Piscean well-being to learn to protect your energy, to create healthy emotional barriers. It is not a matter of closing one's heart to the pain of others, but of learning to feel with the other without drowning in their suffering. There are energy protection techniques, such as visualization and meditation, that can help in this process. Remember, it is possible to be extremely empathetic without getting lost in the pain of the other, maintaining your own emotional integrity. As a result of this unstoppable compassion, another common characteristic in Pisces emerges: the difficulty in saying no. Imagine them as beings who naturally tend to agree, to accept, to mold themselves to the wills of others. This attitude, although it may seem kind and helpful, often hides a deep fear: the fear of conflict, the anguish of displeasing, the insecurity about one's own value. This difficulty in setting boundaries opens doors to manipulation and unbalanced relationships, where Piscean needs are constantly put on the back burner. To a Pisces, saying no may sound like a selfish, almost cruel act. This limiting belief needs to be deconstructed. It's crucial to internalize that saying no is actually an act of self-love, a show of respect for one's own boundaries and needs. Learning to express yourself assertively, to communicate opinions and desires clearly and firmly, is a challenge, but also an essential step towards a more authentic and balanced life. There are several practical strategies that can help in this learning, such as the practice of non-violent communication and the development of self-esteem. Remember, your needs matter, your opinions are valid, and saying no when necessary is critical to your well-being. The Piscean worldview, permeated by emotion and fantasy, is also reflected in the way they experience love. Imagine a fairy tale with princes charming and happy endings. This is often the lens through which Pisces sees romantic relationships. This tendency to idealize love, to project unrealistic expectations about the partner and the relationship, can lead to great disappointments and frustrations. Idealized love, built on fantasies and projections, inevitably distances itself from true love, which flourishes in reality with its imperfections and challenges. It is essential for Pisces to learn to love the other as they really are, with qualities and defects, virtues and flaws. Real love is not free from conflicts or difficulties, but is strengthened by mutual acceptance, respect, and open and honest communication. Healthy relationships are built on solid foundations of partnership and reciprocity, where both individuals feel seen, valued, and loved in their entirety. Demystifying idealized romance and embracing the beauty of imperfect love, real love, is a fundamental step to experience fuller and more lasting relationships. Observe the couples around you, be inspired by resilient love stories built on reality, and allow yourself to love and be loved authentically and truly. There is an intriguing theory behind that aversion directed at Pisces. Imagine a magic mirror, which instead of reflecting your physical image, reveals hidden aspects of your personality. The hatred of Pisces can, surprisingly, function as this mirror, reflecting parts of ourselves that we avoid facing, the so-called shadows in Jungian psychology. These shadows represent characteristics that we repress, deny, or deem unacceptable in us. The sensitivity and emotional openness of Pisces, so characteristic of the sign, can confront us precisely with these dark areas. Think of feelings like sadness, fear, anger, or even lack of affection. Emotions that modern society, focused on positivity and strength, often teaches us to hide. When we are faced with Piscean vulnerability, which openly expresses these emotions considered negative, we can feel discomfort, repulsion, or even irritation. This reaction, in fact, can be a projection. We are rejecting in Pisces what we do not accept in ourselves. The presence of a Pisces in our lives, therefore, can have a valuable purpose. Instead of getting annoyed by their sensitivity, we can use this interaction as an opportunity for self-knowledge. Observing our reaction to Pisces can give us clues about the shadows that inhabit our own unconscious. By recognizing and integrating these repressed parts, we begin a process of healing and personal growth. The Piscean mirror, then, invites us on an inner journey to embrace our wholeness, light and shadow included. Could it be that behind the repulsion to Pisces lies a disguised longing? Imagine observing someone who has something that we secretly desire. The hatred of Pisces could be, in its essence, a disguised form of envy, an unconscious desire to possess the qualities intrinsic to this sign. Think of the Piscean ability to feel with intensity, to connect with intuition, to express creativity in a fluid way. In a world that overvalues logic and objectivity, these characteristics can be underestimated, even despised. Modern society, with its emphasis on rationality and pragmatism, often neglects the value of emotions and intuition. However, these qualities are powerful tools. Intuition, for example, can guide us through complex decisions, offering insights that reason alone can't reach. Creativity allows us to find innovative solutions and give vent to our individual expression. There is a growing recognition of the importance of balancing reason and emotion for a full and successful life. Many people, by observing Piscean sensitivity, may secretly desire this deep connection with the emotional and intuitive world. Stories of individuals who have been inspired by Pisceans to develop their own artistic talents or to follow their intuitive insights are numerous. Instead of rejecting Pisces, we can learn to value and cultivate these qualities in ourselves, finding inspiration in the Piscean soul to enrich our own journey. The way to overcome this aversion to Pisces is through acceptance. Imagine a puzzle where each sign represents a fundamental piece. Integrating the Piscean archetype into us means completing this inner puzzle, making us more complete and fulfilled. Pisces' sensitivity, compassion, and intuition are not weaknesses, but essential virtues for building authentic relationships and experiencing a more meaningful existence. We can learn a lot from Pisces. To develop our intuition, we can practice meditation and inner listening. To express creativity, we can dedicate ourselves to artistic activities such as music, painting, or writing. To cultivate compassion, we can volunteer for social causes or simply practice empathy on a daily basis. The connection with nature, the appreciation of art, and the search for spirituality are also ways to nourish the soul and integrate the Piscean archetype. Countless people report transformative benefits from incorporating these Piscean aspects into their lives. Relationships become deeper and more meaningful, life gains a greater purpose, and the sense of well-being increases. Instead of resisting the Piscean sensitivity in ourselves and others, we can embrace it as a healing force, a portal to a fuller life connected with our deepest essence. For Pisces, the journey of life presents a unique challenge, converting apparent fragility into power. Imagine a flexible reed which bends before the strong wind but does not break. Piscean vulnerability, often seen as a weak point, can be the source of your resilience and inner strength. The secret lies in learning to protect yourself without building walls around your heart, to express what you need without feeling guilty about it, and to love intensely without losing yourself in the identity of the other. Developing self-esteem is crucial in this process. Recognizing one's intrinsic worth, regardless of external approval, strengthens the Piscean emotional foundation. Assertiveness, the ability to express opinions and needs clearly and respectfully, is another fundamental tool. Setting healthy boundaries, learning to say no without guilt, protects Piscean energy and prevents exhaustion. Intuition, that powerful inner compass in Pisces, must be cultivated and listened to. Trusting in one's own inner wisdom guides Pisceans in their decisions and paths. Countless inspiring stories depict Pisceans who have turned their vulnerabilities into trump cards. Artists who channeled sensitivity into moving artwork, therapists who used empathy to heal, compassionate leaders who transformed communities. These examples demonstrate that vulnerability, when understood and accepted, is not an obstacle, but rather a stepping stone to personal fulfillment and contribution to the world. The Piscean challenge is, therefore, to embrace one's own sensitive nature, cultivating the strength that resides in that same essence. To love a Pisces is to walk a path of understanding and delicacy. Imagine yourself sailing in calm, deep waters where attention to detail and sensitivity are essential. To relate in a healthy way with a Pisces, communication is key. Avoid harsh criticism or hasty judgments. Prefer kind and constructive words. Pisces' emotional sensitivity requires an environment of safety and acceptance in order to flourish. When dealing with Piscean emotional intensity, offer space and support. Allow them to express their feelings without trying to minimize or rationalize them excessively. Attentive listening and emotional validation are valuable gifts. Respect the limits and needs of the Pisces. Don't try to control them or mold them into your image. Individuality and freedom are important to them. Above all, be patient, understanding, and loving. Patience is key to building trust and intimacy with a Pisces. Show affection consistently and genuinely. Small gestures of affection, words of appreciation, and moments of emotional connection strengthen the bond. Remember that Pisceans value depth and authenticity in relationships. By offering a love that respects your sensitive and intuitive essence, you will be building a rich and meaningful relationship with a special human being. We have reached the end of this exploration, and the central message resonates clearly. Let us celebrate the beauty of the Piscean soul. Imagine a vast and mysterious ocean, full of life and vibrant colors. The sensitivity, compassion, and intuition of Pisces are like treasures hidden in this ocean, precious gifts that enrich the world. Valuing these qualities is essential for us to build a more humane and empathetic society. It is time to reflect on our own projections. Isn't the hatred or aversion to Pisces actually a reflection of parts of ourselves that we reject? Embracing our own vulnerability, acknowledging our emotions, and embracing our intuition are crucial steps for personal growth and inner healing. May we be inspired by the Piscean soul to become more complete and compassionate beings. The potential for transformation and healing resides in each of us. At the end of this reflection, I encourage you to share your experiences and insights in the comments. The exchange of experiences enriches everyone's journey. Let us reaffirm the importance of acceptance, respect, and unconditional love in all our relationships, not only with Pisces, but with all human beings. May the beauty of the Piscean soul inspire us to create a more beautiful and harmonious world for all. So far, we have explored the Piscean soul in its essence. Now let's observe how these characteristics manifest themselves on the stages of daily life, at work, in friendships, and in the family nucleus. Imagine a chameleon adapting its coloration to the landscape while maintaining its intrinsic nature. This is how Pisceans are, expressing their essence in different contexts. In the professional environment, Piscean creativity and intuition shine brightly. In professions that require human sensitivity and understanding, such as in the areas of healing, arts, or social work, Pisceans excel. However, environments that are overly rigid or focused only on practical results can challenge them. They crave meaning in their tasks, for feeling that they contribute to something greater. In friendships, loyalty and the ability to connect deeply make Pisceans precious friends. They are attentive listeners, friendly shoulders in difficult moments, and companions present in joys. However, their complacent nature can sometimes lead them to be exploited. Reciprocity is vital to maintaining the health of these relationships. In the family, the protective instinct and natural care of Pisceans are evident. Attentive to family dynamics, they are able to nurture and support loved ones. However, they can become excessively involved, sacrificing their own needs for the sake of family well-being. Setting healthy boundaries is essential for balance in these relationships. In each sphere of life, Pisces expresses its uniqueness, molding itself to its surroundings without losing the compassionate essence that defines it. It is time to confront the prejudiced ideas that obscure the true Piscean nature. Imagine a distorted lens which deforms the real image, creating unfair caricatures. Stereotypes such as dramatic, whiny, unrealistic, indecisive, or victim are superficial labels that do not capture the complexity of this sign. Piscean emotional sensitivity, for example, is often confused with drama. However, the depth of his feelings is not staging, but rather an intense experience of reality. Sensitivity is not synonymous with weakness, but rather with a keen perception of the world. Piscean idealism, on the other hand, is not unrealism, but rather the ability to dream and envision a better future, a driving force for creation and transformation. The tendency to evade, already discussed, does not define the Pisces completely. It is an understandable defense mechanism in the face of a sometimes oppressive world, not an absolute character trait. Complacency, which may exist, does not imply being a victim, but rather a difficulty in setting limits, something that can be worked on and overcome. It is crucial to remember that each Pisces is a unique individual with their own nuances and particularities. Generalizations limit understanding and perpetuate misconceptions. Deconstructing these stereotypes is essential to appreciating the richness and beauty of human diversity, including Piscean uniqueness. Let's look beyond the labels and see the whole person. Finally, let's briefly address Piscean relationships with the other signs of the zodiac. Imagine a symphony orchestra where different instruments harmonize, creating unique melodies. Interactions between Pisces and other signs can generate both beautiful harmonies and challenging dissonances. In general, astrological compatibility is not a rigid rule, but rather an inclination, a tendency. In relationships, Pisceans can find natural affinity with water signs, such as Cancer and Scorpio, who share emotional sensitivity and intuition. With earth signs, such as Taurus and Virgo, there can be an interesting complementarity, earthly practicality anchoring Piscean fluidity. With air signs, such as Gemini and Libra, the connection can be more mental and communicative, while with fire signs, such as Aries and Leo, the relationship can be vibrant and passionate, but also require adjustments due to differences in temperament. In any relationship, whether romantic, friendship, or professional, the most important thing is mutual understanding and respect for individual differences. Piscean qualities, such as empathy and compassion, can enrich any relational dynamic, as long as there is openness and willingness to dialogue. After all, the beauty of life lies in diversity and the ability to connect with the other in their uniqueness.